Welcome back to the OurView Podcast. On today's episode, I welcome my guest, Chassidy Young. Chassidy was born with a limb difference and a form of dwarfism. Join our conversation as we discuss her experience of being on the show Born Different, body positivity, and the importance of not dissing our ability. I would like for you to introduce yourself to our listeners.
Most definitely. Well, my name is Chassidy. I am a native of Fort Worth, Texas. I am the founder of Chassidy, which is a organization of mine. It's very new. It's my baby, but it focuses on advocacy for people with disabilities mostly. But for the most part, I expanded just for me, things that I value. I value, people with disabilities having a voice, a life of normalcy, being able to live proudly and live boldly. I'm a big advocate of body positivity and just being comfortable in your body, and more so, not even just being comfortable in it, but really like loving who you are, loving who you look like, and having the freedom to look in the mirror and love the person that looks back at you. So that's what Chassidy is about. I was featured in a documentary, Born Different, last year. I think it's probably been about a year and a half. And it was something that was shown worldwide, and it's gotten up to almost, I think, like 100 million views worldwide. So I've used that as a platform to do what I've done prior, which is, again, advocate for people with disabilities, for women with disabilities, for Black women with disabilities, which I kind of call myself a trifecta, being a Black woman, but a Black woman with a disability, being a woman, period. Just having different social windows that you just want to tear down. So I'm very bold, very proud, and I'm excited to be here. I just love to talk to other people, and I like to share my story, and I like to feed from other stories. So that's what pushes me and levels me forward.
That's great. I I love so much of what you said, and specifically, using who you are, as you said, as a woman, as a Black woman with a disability, to help make changes and help people see who they are and love who they are. I think that's really important, and I will definitely get back into the body positivity that you mentioned. I love that part of it, because I think that's something that's can be difficult for people who have disabilities to accept the body that they are in. So I'll get back to that, I promise.
Okay.
So could you talk about what your diagnosis is, what the name of it is, and what it actually means, and how it has impacted your life, having this diagnosis?
Right. Yeah, definitely. So my diagnosis honestly was something I didn't know what it was called until I did Born Different. I didn't know what the medical diagnosis was. I was born with a form of dwarfism, and also a medical diagnosis that has where you are born without either loss of your extremities, like hands, arms, feet, or you have, they're limited. It is characterized by loss of certain extremities or limbs, and also a form of dwarfism is what my medical diagnosis is.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I did. I saw your the Born Different show, which was really great to have, to see something, and like you said, the views on it were like really crazy numbers to for
They're
the views.
crazy.
Yeah, the views that were on it, and so can you get into that, of what the experience was like on Born Different, and
Mm-hmm.
how came to you and how you got to be on that show.
Born Different was something I didn't know about it. I had a cousin, she would send me videos, and she would always say, you need to be on this show. And I'm like, what show are you talking about? And it's so funny. Every time someone sees a video of somebody missing a leg or missing an arm, they think I want to see it. So people will tag me. They will tag me in videos of people missing legs and missing limbs, and they think I want to see it. So I was tagged in a bunch of different videos. I didn't know they were Born Different photos until very recently. So she and I started to look into them on YouTube, and there was a couple that I saw, a girl in Houston who I met up with and did a later Born Different show with her. I looked at her story and I was just so inspired by her. And so that's how I started to see it more. And so me and my cousin, she was like, I don't know how we're going to get you on this show, but we're going to get you on this show. So we found an email, and me and her, we found the email and we sent an email to them, and she sent her own personal email. I sent an email, and maybe a month after that, I got an email. I was up, it was like 5 a.m. my time, but they're based out of UK. So my time it was 5 a.m. So I'm up, and I got the email, and they were like, we got your emails. We would love for you to be on board. And so that's how that happened. Like, me and my cousin, we kind of tag teamed them and blew their email up. And they were probably like, oh my God, we're sick of these emails. Who is this Chassidy girl? So that's how that happened. I probably got on their nerve, and they decided, and then they decided to do it.
Well, it definitely worked.
Yeah, it did. But it was a really awesome experience. Just being a part of that. They sent someone out, and we recorded for a whole day. It was probably a 10-12 hour day of just recording things.
Oh, wow.
And it was different, but it was really awesome experience. And I just love to share in any type of way who I am and just my story and how I developed into the person I am. But it's so weird because people will notice me and it like I'm some type of celebrity or something. I was at the airport one day, and this girl, she was like, Chassidy. She was so loud, and I was like, I saw you on TV. It's so weird because I've had people come up to me and they're like, I saw you. You're. I'm like you're some type of celebrity or something. But it's always cool just to have different people around that you've influenced and that you've had the opportunity to make an impact in their lives. And Born Different definitely elevated my ability to do that.
Yeah, that's great. And I love the fact that you they didn't find you, you found them, and you went after it. Like, that is.
I did.
That is so great.
Me and my cousin Shani, her name, we call her Shani. Me and Shani, we were we emailed them. She used to send me messages like, you need to be on this show. Why are you not on this show? And I was like, I don't know, cousin, but we need to figure it out. And so we tag team them. We sent them probably about 5 emails. So they probably was like, who is this?
But I think that is so great though, because it's just like, you saw something that you wanted and you went for it. Mm-hmm. And and you said you sent him the email and you didn't hear back from him for a while, but then it was just like, oh, and they got the multiple emails. So it was probably like, oh, well, maybe we do need to look and see who this is.
They probably was like, who is this? Because she probably gonna email us again, and we would have sent them another email. They wouldn't have responded, but they
get other people involved and
the whole family. I would have said, hey, send this email. Just send me a couple of pictures of me. So we would have. So they made a good decision to get us early, because we were gonna have to get my whole family involved if they wouldn't have found me on this show. But it was a really great experience. I'm super thankful for being a part of that.
Yeah, that's great. So you mentioned your cousin, and I would like to shift the conversation a little bit into your family life and growing up with a disability. And did you ever see people who had similar disability to you, or and what your experience was like growing up in your family, and then also in school and outside of your household and your family circle? What was that that experience like for you, having a disability?
I never saw anyone like me growing up. I've never saw another little person. I literally thought I was the only little person in my city available. And so growing up, trying to, let me take back, my family is very supportive of me, and they never made me feel like I was different. I never was excluded from anything. And I mean, never excluded from anything. Chores, discipline, you know what I'm saying? If I showed out, it went down. So I never was excluded from anything. So my family made me feel very much a part of my family, and it was very much, I was very much included in everything. But the older you get, even with them being super supportive, you still need to identify with somebody. And I didn't have anyone, I didn't see people like me until I was in college. And at that time I was going into the University of Texas at Arlington. I did 2 years, did my basics at a community college, still didn't see anybody. But I went to college, and that's the first time I saw a little person. And I was like, wait, so these people are real. You know what I mean? It was like, where y'all hiding at? Like, so if it's you, then there are other people, and then I gradually the more I started to move around, I started to see other people, little people, but I never saw anyone like myself until Born Different. Again, I saw this girl named Jaleesa, which we met as well, and did a Born Different feature. But I saw her, and she was born like me. She didn't have any arms. She didn't have, I could see myself in her. And at that time, I was 32 years old, and I'm finally like, man, I really wasn't alone in this world. And that show just opened it up to me, because you feel like, dang, I'm the only person. I'm having to adapt to these people, and I'm having to, meet them where they are. And it was just really cool to be around people that we were all in the same level, in the same space, and I didn't have to try to adapt and meet them where they were. But, just being in my family, they taught me just so much with learning how to make things happen for myself, because I was around people who weren't like me. So that means everything around me wasn't accommodated for me. So It taught me to make a way, and to try to figure out how to do things my way, you know what I mean? And figure out how to do what worked for me. And they always challenged me. They never told me no. My parents let me do everything I wanted to do. And there were some things I probably shouldn't have done, but they were just like, if we tell her no, you know what I mean? They were like, okay, go ahead and do it. We're going to be right here when, however it go down. We're going to be right here. If you change your mind, if you fail at it, if you hurt yourself, we're going to be right here for you. So that was something that, I think was really important for building me, is that I never ran into a situation where if I didn't know how to do it the way that it was supposed to be done, that didn't mean I wasn't going to do it. That mean I need to find another way to make it happen for me. And so that was what was important. What taught, with being a family that didn't have a bunch of people like myself that I couldn't see, that's what they taught me, how to make a way, in a situation where the world is not built for you, but they don't, you build your own world. So that growing up was very normal for me. It really was.
Yeah, you do. You have to, like you said, you have to build your own world within this world to make things work for you. And I can definitely relate to what you said also about not being left out of anything, including chores and and all of that stuff around the house.
Baby, chores, I had them. Yeah. All of that. I go clean your room, go pull your clothes out for school, get your clothes together, do your homework. You want to show out, go in there. You know what I mean? It wasn't anything. It wasn't it was very normal, for me. And I appreciate my family for that. I really do, for keeping me grounded and keeping it, just being real with me. Cause that's important to me. Honesty and just being real with me, because this world is real. So I don't want to be in a place where there are a bunch of things around me that are, that are sugar coated for me inside of 4 walls, because I can't live in those 4 walls forever. I didn't want to. So I needed to be prepared to get out into this world and, you know what I need to do. And my family, they set that foundation for me. They made me pretty tough.
Yeah, and like you said, knowing what you're going to be up against, and not
Mm-hmm.
sugarcoating things, and saying like, oh, everything's going to be easy for you, because it's not.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's very important, the honesty of it all. Like, you're going to have to work a little harder to do things and get things that you need and what you want, but you can do it. That's at the
Mm-hmm.
end of the day, that was the important message that I received from my own family of, yeah, you're going to have to work a little harder and do things a little different, but you can do it. And
You
and like you
can.
said, if you want to do something, yeah, we'll be here to support you. It might not, we might
It
not know how
might
it's going
not
to work
work
out.
out.
Right? We don't know
But
how it's going to work out.
and that's not something that I think is a thing that's only for people who have a physical difference. That's for everybody. You're gonna
Right.
do something. I don't think you should take that away from people who are born different. You should say,
Mm-hmm.
okay, don't do that. It may not work for you. That's for everybody. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? That's across all types of communities, no matter who you are, no matter your race, no matter your physical ability. There are going to be some things that may not work for you. But I think that builds character. And I think that sometimes with people who have a physical difference, or, who body different or born different, you want some experiences, you want to take away failure and take away mistakes. That builds character. So I'm just glad that, I had the freedom to be a human that could make a mistake and could fail, and it wasn't going to bounce back off where you couldn't do it because you were disabled. No, it just didn't work for me. You know what I mean?
Right.
So it
Right.
just didn't work. So I don't want the first person that failed at it, and I won't be the last.
Yeah, that's so important. And like you said, for everybody, not just for people
Mm-hmm.
that were born different. And it's just,
Mm-hmm.
it's an important message that everybody should, that everybody can relate to, I think, for
Yes.
sure. And the failures and things not working out the first time around, and you have to, just keep trying, and you will, definitely reach your goal, and achieve, whatever your plan is, and you'll get to it. But it's a very good message for sure. Yeah. What I know from watching your video, you have a few siblings, right? Um,
Yes.
yeah. So I grew up with my sister, and we grew up in the same household, and she's a year and a half older than me. She also didn't let me miss out on any of the fighting and everything. And so we
Okay.
always got into it. And but again, it was one of those things where she could bother me and mess with me, but as soon as we go outside the house,
Mm-hmm.
nobody
Mm-hmm.
else could say anything to me about my disability. So,
That's how it's supposed to be. That's how it was. Like, with my siblings, cousins, if we all fought and got into it, that's what we did. But outside of us, and it was a problem, and we all getting together, we're gonna fight you.
right.
But they wouldn't let none of that happen. We we tell jokes. Even my sister, like, I have a sister and a brother, but one of my best friends, me and my sister's one of our closest friends. She's like a sister to us. So I say I have two sisters and a brother. But my sister Ashley, she likes to tell jokes, and
Mm-hmm.
she tell jokes all day. Me and her, she tell little jokes about. But that's my sister. If you ever think about telling a joke and she didn't ordain that joke, it's gonna be a problem. You know what I'm saying? So
Right.
I didn't want to be uptight like that. I want people to be comfortable around me, and then not to feel like, oh, I can't say that. And it's, if you know somebody, that's the difference. If you don't know me, then you don't know who I am, what I like, and how to address me. But in my family, we were just it was comedy. We crack jokes.
Right.
I crack jokes. You know what I mean? So, but you couldn't do it if you don't know her and you ain't part of the family. Oh, it was gonna be World War III.
Absolutely. And that's I have a really good friend that I know from college, and she's really good. She loves to crack the jokes when other people are around who don't know me, and people who may not realize that we know each other. So it makes for a very awkward but funny
Very awkward and
situation.
funny. Yes, that's how my sister is. They're like, they're like, oh my God. And then she, especially with questions, if someone asks questions, she used to answer in the most just vile way. Like people would be like, well, what happened to your hand? She'll just bust out, oh, we cut them off. And they would be like, what? And she would just walk off. I'm like, Ashley, that's a kid. You can't tell them that you cut. So it was fun, you know, just growing up with them and dealing with them, how they handle it.
Yeah, my friend who I was just talking about, her name is Teresa. We went to an outdoor concert one time, and it was a group of us that went, but we were outside sitting on the lawn, and I used crutches, so I had my crutches that day, but there was a storm coming. So I was like, okay, like, I don't know what this storm is going to be. If it's just rain, I'll be fine. But if there's lightning and stuff, like if it's a real storm, I probably need to like get into my car. I don't need to be out here. I have braces that have metal. I have my crutches that are metal. I was like, I think I'm going to head to my car. Out of nowhere, without missing a beat, she says, your crutch tips are rubber. You're grounded. You'll be fine. I said, oh, good point. You know, and people looking around, they're like, wait, what? Like, you're laughing at that? I was like, yeah. I was like, this is my best friend. I was like, we're fine.
Yeah,
like, that's how it
is.
Yeah, she can say stuff like that, but you know, nobody else can.
You can. You don't know me, right? You say something crazy, it's gonna be a serious problem.
Right. And I was mainly concerned about everybody else that was there. I was like, if a lightning bolt comes down, like a bunch of people are getting taken out. And she's like, oh, you're fine. You have metal. Your crutch tips are rubber. You'll be fine. You're grounded. I was like, oh, okay, good point. And I was like, maybe I'll stay for a little longer. And people were like, no, I think you should still go. Like,
you need that kind of humor around
you. Do.
You really do. You need people those are people that are going to, just keep you grounded. You need to be able to feel that feels normal. People talk, crack jokes with their friends. I feel like if you're around me and you babysit me and all that type of stuff, I feel like you don't see me as a whole being,
Right.
Like there are certain parts of me that you don't see, and being whole means, just being transparent and allowing yourself to have fun and just being real with your friends and being chill with your friends, being able to let your hair down without it always going back to your disability. So I think you need friends like that around. Probably not all your friends, but you need a couple of friends that'll just, do those type of things every now and then.
A couple people, yes.
A couple, not all of them. Then it's going to be another problem. And, we don't want all them problems.
No, we don't need all those problems for sure.
We don't need all the problems and conflict. I can't fight everybody now.
Right.
Some of y'all can get it, but everybody not gonna be able. I can't do everybody.
Outside of your family, how were you treated, like in school and in your neighborhood, by the other kids and adults, or whoever you encountered outside of your house? How did that go?
Outside of my family, from what I can remember with school, for the most part, I don't remember being treated differently or having any type of bullies or anything. And I think it had to do a lot with me. And, sometimes like as I mentioned, my family built a very strong foundation. They built a very strong woman. So when it was time to go to school, I was excited. I'm around kids. I'm around my cousin. I have a big family, so I was around other people like my age. But I do know that growing up, people once you get past the curiosity of me and like, okay, what happened? And then we have that conversation, and then it's like, okay, boom. Kids are very like that. Even now, if I talk to a kid and they're like, what happened to your hands? I explain it, they move on. And that's really, how it was, growing up. People realized, okay, she can still play with us.
Mm-hmm.
Can you still play? Can you still do this? Can you still do that? And I was still very involved in with my peers, where they knew I was different, but I didn't act different. I wasn't in a separate area from everyone else. I was with everyone else. And that was really important because it wasn't like, Chastity was this outsider. She was she was my friend that was born different. I think when you get into adolescence, even being 12, 13, 14, things started to change for me as far as just getting into that age where everyone is starting to grow and get bigger and get taller, and you're not, and you just have those normal feelings that I think most preteens go through. But still, I developed very strong friendships. It's like my friends that I'm friends with now are people that I met during that time when I was 12, 13, 14. And we have these 20-year relationships where they were just like, we love you. We love your personality. Like, you're fun to be around. And, I developed some very solid relationships and I was really popular. I think I'm trying to take it the long route, but short route. I was in school. I was very popular. People, they liked me. I was a cheerleader. I was on a dance team. I was very involved. I was on the step team. Like, I was homecoming queen. I was very involved in everything and was pretty popular. And I think that people respected that. They was like, Chastity, she didn't hide out and, social distance herself from us. I was very a part of everything and everyone. And I think that that's what people loved about me, is that, I was just like them. Once you allow yourself to get past what someone looks like, you know that we're all in the core, we're all just alike. I knew how to dress.
Yeah.
I knew how to dress. I always had my hair done. I was always, and that was just something I just like to do, just being a girl, being a very feminine woman. I was always dressed nice and my hair was always done. My shoes were always fly. So, I was in school, I was really popular.
Yeah. It's interesting that you say that, because I often get asked the question of like, so what group of kids did you fit in with in high school? And I'm like, everybody.
Everybody. And I think people want you to have this they want a response. I think sometimes, like, man, because that's some people's story, and I understand that, but that's not everybody's story. But I think for the most part, people want to hear, when I was in school, nobody really talked to me, and I was a loner, and I was by myself, and that's just not my story. I wasn't a loner. I had a group of people that was always with me, that was always helping me. I had some really great friends. I was involved. I did everything, and it was. I had fun. I had lots of fun. And even in college, when I went to college, I went by myself. When I went to a big university, UTA, my sister went maybe a year, and then we moved out, and I was going by myself. So I developed these friendships in college by myself, and then at that level became very popular on campus because I'm in everything. I'm in all types of, just organizations and groups, and I did a pageant. I mean, I was just doing everything so I wanted to, I wanted to be involved, and I wanted to try everything. So even in college, people were very open and accepting of me, and just love to be around me.
Yeah,
it was fun.
And it's really, I'm loving this conversation, and even with you saying, you developed close relationships back when you were 13 or 14 years old, and still maintain those friendships to today. And as we're talking, my phone just lit up, and I looked over and saw it was my best friend from middle school. We've known each other since we were 14. We'll be 39 this year. And she just had a baby. She sent me a text message. We talk every day. So I'm just like, I get that. Like, that really, like, I get it. Like,
my best friend until this day, I met her in the 7th grade. So we were 13. And we're both 33 now. And she's been my best friend since then. And most of my friends that I know now were during that time frame where we just developed those, long-term relationships.
Yeah, and it's really, I think that's really important. In addition to what we're taught, within our family circles and our home, of not being deterred from reaching our goals and things in life, but also surrounding ourselves with people outside of our home who, give us that support. And that, again, that goes back to anybody, whether you were born different or not, with a disability or not. It's just, surrounding yourself with good and positive people who believe in you, who you believe in. You can, encourage each other and lift each other up, I think is, so important for people to realize. And then you can, like you said, maintain these 20-25 year relationships with people, which is really, really great, to see that other people, other people have that experience as well.
Yeah, it's important, like I mentioned, and I think for lots of times people want to get to know you. People want to know about you. People want to want to be your friend. But I think that sometimes within our families, our close people want to protect us so bad and think people are going to hurt us. So there are some cruel people in the world, and we know that. But I've learned that people really just want to know you. And I wanted to know people, I wanted to be out. I was very social. Like, the person in my spirit and in my heart was a social person that loved people, loved to be around people, and loved to have fun. And this body that I was born in wasn't going to take that away from me. We were going to experience that together. I was going to come out this shell and leave this body in a room like a snake, or it was going to come with me. So I learned that people really just wanted to get to know me. My friends they helped me when I needed help. They would be so mad at me. They would be like, "Can we help you a little bit? Like, is there something that can you just let us help you do something? Like,
can we do something for you, please?
Can we do something for you, please?" I got it. They got tired of me saying, I got it. Can we just help you a little bit? Like, so I just know for if there are any, like, parents who are raising, people who are someone that's born different, has a physical difference. I just think that it's really important to not shelter them from the world, because there are some people in the world who really want to love them, who really want to befriend them, and who can and who have the capacity to see beyond a physical difference.
Right.
And that was, that's something that was important for me that I learned.
Yeah, that is, I love that. That is so true, for sure. Wow. So I would like to shift the conversation a little bit back to body positivity. So as I said, I watched some of your videos. I watched some of your videos that you have online with the Born Different show, and I saw one of your episodes where you mentioned something to the effect of you like to dress up and you like to dress nice. Because you think you called it a distraction, which it's so funny. I related to that so much because I get so many compliments sometimes, if I'm dressed up nice, like, "Oh, wow, you look really nice." And, it's like, yeah, I'm in a wheelchair, but I dress nice,
But
yeah, it's like, I dress nice, it's really, so I think, and I think for me, I'll say for me, it makes me feel good. Like, so body positivity, I know a lot of times it's focused on women, but for men, it can also be an issue. And for men who have disabilities, I think, that's something that's not really talked about too often, or it's not talked about a lot, or, in big settings where it's a well-known topic. So what was there any specific thing that made you want to focus your organization on that topic of body positivity?
Yeah, definitely. And what you stated, it's feeling good about yourself. It helps to boost your spirits. How I know for a woman, and it's probably the same for a man, just different. where some days I'm like, if you're feeling a slump, I'm like, let me get cute today. Let me comb my hair and put on some makeup and just get cute today, because you feel it definitely does boost your confidence, your self-esteem, your spirit. It does. But when I had mentioned about, dressing up, it wasn't dressing up and looking cute wasn't something I used as a distraction. It seemed like a distraction oftentimes, because sometimes I would be out and I would catch people staring, and in my head I'm like, oh Lord, here we go. Trying to prepare myself for, so what happened? And so they'll come up to me and they'll be like, I know I was over there staring, but your hair is so pretty. And it'll be something like so different, like, who does your hair? Or I just want to tell you that you look really cute. And I think that for people, and I think what it does, it reminds you once again that this is an entire human being in this wheelchair. Like, this is a person. This is not, this is a human. And it makes people realize that, because now they can relate to something about you. That you're finding yourself like, oh man, she just like me. She like what I like. Okay, I like that shirt. Who does her hair? This is somebody that's like you, that thinks like you, and that's living in this world like you are. So that's what I said. Sometimes for people, it distracts. I guess it doesn't distract them, but it brings them to realize that's a human being that I'm looking at.
It does. It brings it back to the human side of all of us. It's like, like you said, they like your hair, or they like your shirt, and it's like, oh, where'd you get that dress from? Or oh, I really like the way that you coordinated your shoes with something. It's really, it brings it back to a normal conversation outside of, like you said, outside of, oh, so what happened to you?
So what happened to you? So it really just takes it like, it takes the conversation to something that, to something human. You know what I mean? To, like girls do. I'm pretty sure people do it, but I think girls openly are like, girl, you look cute. And it takes it back to, just like you said, just being a human being. And but I don't necessarily dress up, for people, and get my hair done for people. That's what I like to do.
Right.
I'll sit in the house and still, I'll sit in the house with a full face of makeup and just so I can take pictures on Snapchat. So
love it.
that's for me. So, I do that for me, and it's awesome when people appreciate that, but at the end of the day, it's for me, because it makes Chassidy feel good.
Yeah, and it's so funny. I found myself for the last few months staying in the house a lot. And I haven't been I wear braces. I haven't been putting them on every day because I'm not going out, so I don't need to put them on. They're heavy and very annoying. But some days, like you said, it's like you want to get dressed up and put on a decent shirt, and I'll walk past my dresser and I'll put on cologne or something, and I'm like, oh, I'm not going anywhere, but
put on that cologne.
The cologne makes you feel good, and
good.
Yeah, so it's really it's really something to it's something I never really thought about as far as like the body positivity, for myself, but it is, because it's, sometimes, my legs are different sizes, and, but just, and just the way like my body feels sometimes, it's like, it's part of my diagnosis and I know that, but then it's still just like, oh my God, this is annoying. And it's literally a pain. Like, it's just, but like you said, getting to a point where you can fully accept the body that you have, the body that you're in, for everything that it is, the good, the bad, and the ugly. It's just really, I think it's very important to have that conversation, and help people get through that and get to a point where where they can be accepting. I had a conversation with someone yesterday, I believe it was, who I don't know. I was connected to them through someone else, and they are recently new to being a wheelchair user. They're an adult, and they're recently new to it, like the last few months. They have become a wheelchair user. And in our brief conversation, they kept using the word wheelchair bound. And I was talking to them for maybe 10 minutes. And, and I said, hey, I said, it might not work for you. I said, and that's okay. I said, but for me, what I found, if I can change the way that I do the self-talk of, not thinking of being wheelchair bound, but being a wheelchair user, because your condition, you'd be doing a lot less if you didn't have the wheelchair. You can do a lot more that you have the wheelchair. So, just a thought, you might want to consider changing that self-talk of, feeling confined or bound to the wheelchair, and just say you use a wheelchair. I mean, I'm a wheelchair user. I have to use a wheelchair to get around. And it really, for me, it changed the way that I thought about it as well, because, you hear different phrases of, the wheelchair actually gives me freedom, and it really does. I can do a lot more things in my wheelchair than I can do.
Much. I
Yeah.
totally agree. And I was one of those people who, because I felt like the wheelchair, I felt I didn't want to be handicapped. I didn't want to be disabled, So anything that I felt would associate me with that, I didn't want to be a part of it. So I literally didn't use a wheelchair for a very long time. I remember in high school, our principal had to sit me down and say, we need you in your chair. Something happens to you. We need you out of the school quickly. So bring your wheelchair to school. So I was like, okay. So let me tell you what I started doing. I brought the wheelchair to school, right? I had a friend, one of my friends, when it was time to go from class to class or whatever, I put my backpack in the wheelchair, and I would walk alongside the wheelchair, and my friend would just push it, or they would be in it. But I'm like, y'all stay, keep the wheelchair with me. So if something happened, we'll just get in the wheelchair real fast. Right. I was just so, I was so anti the wheelchair. And it really, and I shouldn't have been, because that for one, it could have been a situation where I needed to get out quickly. Thankfully it wasn't, but it made sense. So as I got older, especially when I got into college, my sister, she stopped going. She started to work more, so she wasn't there to, push me to all these classes. I had this electric wheelchair at home that I wasn't using, because again, I'm like, I don't need a wheelchair. And what that wheelchair did for me, that electric chair, when I started to use it, I started to use this public transportation system in my city, so I could get to school by myself. I didn't have to worry about her taking me, picking me up. It allowed me to, if I wanted to go to different meetings and with organizations, I could do it. I joined a choir. I did a pageant. I did a full pageant, Miss Black and Gold. I did that pageant in 2010 in my wheelchair. And it was probably the best thing I could have ever done. And the whole time I'm thinking, what else could I have done in this wheelchair that I ran away from it because I didn't want to be disabled? The whole time I was dissing my ability. This whole thing could have, this thing set you up to do so much. And I guess the stigmas of certain things got in my head about it. And I think that's really important for us to get out of our own heads and not to live off of, how people feel about wheelchairs, people in wheelchairs, because that device became a part of me. We named it. It was yellow and black. We named it the Bumblebeast. All my friends in college, that's what they would call it. Where's the Bumblebeast? We had a name for it. It was a part of me, and it just elevated me to do so much. And from but I had to get out of my head and not make it a stigma, or that now because I'm in this wheelchair, I'm all of a sudden going to become this, unable to do anything. And it basically just allowed me to, it opened up so many doors and so many opportunities for me with this wheelchair. And what you were saying about just kind of self-talk and just how you see things, like I said, you're not, don't diss your ability. And that's from the whole slogan that I say all the time, don't diss my ability, don't count out what you can do. And even the wheelchair, like you were telling your friend, wheelchair bound or wheelchair user. I call myself wheelchair babe, wheelchair, you know what I mean? You just have to, wheelchair babe is what I call myself. And I got a whole suit, honey, and everything has the wheelchair babe on it. And it's just like, you have to own it. You have to own it, and it's a part of you, but it definitely isn't something that keeps you bound. It definitely does create so many other freedoms for you.
Yeah, and I wanted to bring that up. I'm glad you brought it up about your and sending emails back and forth with you to arrange this. I saw your tagline of "Don't diss my ability," and I really love that because one of my goals in creating my OurView company is to change the tone of conversation about disabilities. So, like you just said, don't discount what I'm able to do. I have trouble walking, and I wear, the braces and the crutches. I use a wheelchair, but I can do a whole lot of other things. And like you, and like you said before, it's like a lot of people like me, and I'm a lot of fun, and we do a lot of fun things. So it's so I think that's really a really great line for don't diss my ability. I really like that and can appreciate it, because I really want to through this podcast and through telling the stories of others, I want people to see what those who live with disabilities are able to do. Because oftentimes it's such a negative, there's a negative feeling around people who have disabilities. And I want to help get that stereotype out of people's heads, and just, to help change that conversation when you hear or see someone who has a disability, just to, focus on positive things and what they're able to do, because it ends up being so much more. And it ends up being a lot of times, it ends up being a lot of the same things that you enjoy yourself. You have a lot of things in common. Yeah.
You have so much in common when you you just have to get out of your own head with society and certain stereotypes and certain stigmas that you think you see, and it goes back, like we were talking about earlier in the conversation, it goes back to representation. When you think about people, when you watch movies and you think about shows, and you just think about the things that we see in the media, and you think, you don't see it. When you do see people like yourself, they are, they're not represented properly.
Yeah, they still don't look like me.
They don't look like me.
Yeah.
Even with people, with little people, movies, they're these, either these magical figures, or they're people who are, don't think that they're actually real, and something that's for comedy. And so It's just really important to be represented properly.
Yeah, I think that is so important and necessary. Like, it's time. Like, right now is is the time to help and start, to help change that for sure. I think it's long overdue for sure, because like you said, even if you do see someone who is supposed to represent you, they still don't look like you.
They still don't.
Yeah.
They don't look like you. They don't, you still can't identify with them, because it's like, this is not how I am. This person doesn't, it's just, there needs to be so much more representation of real people who happen to just be born different. And that's what I like about the Born Different show, because it does allow you to be, to see that there are so many people who are just living normal lives, and, just living it their own way, so representation is super important.
Yes. So I've truly enjoyed this conversation with you, and I just have one more question before I let you go, and that is, besides everything, or in addition to what we've already said, what is something that you would want the world to know about people who live with disabilities?
Just on a basic level, that they're people. I think that it's so important to understand that people who are not like you are still people.
Yes.
They're human. They have feelings. They have emotions. They have hearts. their sisters, their brothers, their mothers, fathers, wives, husbands. Like, these are people, they're working, they paying bills, they paying taxes. You know, these are, when you need to see people as people, you know, a person with just an adjective that's a, you know, but it's not who that person is. You know what I mean? That just learning to move beyond the chair, move beyond, you know, missing limbs or whatever, that's a person. It's a real person, and you have to treat people like you would want to be treated. In this world that we live in, of being born different, you and I, the golden thing is, how would you want somebody to treat you? You know what I mean? Like, I want people to know that I'm a real person. You know, I'm not in this magical world, or I'm not in a comedy book. I'm a real working woman, you know, balancing being a mother, balancing being a sister, a daughter, balancing being a sister, balancing relationships, friendships, you know, it just is normalcy is what I want people to try your best to get to know a person and move beyond, you know, what happened to hey, how you doing? You know what I'm saying? I don't even just cancel that. Why does it matter why I don't have hands? I just don't.
Yeah.
Nigga, I don't even understand why that shouldn't even matter. Like, why don't you, that doesn't matter. You know, just move beyond what you see and just try to see a person, a human being in front of you is what I want people to know. I want people to give people the ability to be humans.
Yeah. And that's, I thank you for that answer. And I love that answer. And as I said in the beginning, I like my guests to introduce themselves, and I do school presentations. I haven't done any this year, of course, because of COVID-19, but when I introduce myself to the students, I always start off with things that you just said, like, I'm a son, I'm a brother, I'm an uncle, I'm a friend, you know, and I say all these other things, and then I say, oh yeah, and I was born with spina bifida, you know, and I have to use a wheelchair to get around. And just watching the kids, like, you know, like the kids, you can tell they're waiting for the explanation about why I'm in a wheelchair. And I'm saying like a list of, you know, 8 or 10 different things. And, you know, I talk about, you know, my job as the executive director of a nonprofit, and I say all these other things, and they're just like waiting for it. And it's the very last thing I say, like, oh, and I have spina bifida. I have to use a wheelchair. You know, and then it's like, oh, well, what's spina bifida? So then that starts a whole conversation. And then every now and then we'll get, you know, well, you said you're a brother. How many brothers and sisters do you have? And, you know, well, you're an uncle. Like, well, do you have a niece or a nephew? And so it really brings back to what you said. It brings us back to all being human. And it's, those are things that people can really relate to. You know, because they're somebody's son or daughter, and they're somebody's, you know, nephew. And so it's like, oh, wow, cool. Like,
exactly.
So it's really, really important to just bring it back to all of us being human, and back to what you said too about, you know, somebody complimenting you on your hair, you know, where you're thinking like, oh gosh, they're staring at me and they're going to, here we go again kind of thing. And it's just like, oh, I like your hair. I like what you're wearing. And so it really is important to be kind to everybody, I think is,
that's super important.
You know, it's something that we say all the time, but I think it's very important to, you know, to make sure that we do stay calm, stay kind to others, and just really treat people how we want to be treated. I think that's a very good thing for all of us to keep in mind during this time in life. And I cannot thank you enough for your time today.
Thank you.
Yeah, can you just share with the listeners where they can find you on social media to follow you, and any websites or any other pieces of information where they can find your videos and things on YouTube?
Yeah, so you can visit my website. It's www.chasingchassidy, and Chassidy is CHASSIDY .com. You can also follow me on Instagram, Chasing Chassidy. And on Facebook, I also have Facebook page Chasing Chassidy as well. So all of it is that, my tagline to make it easier to locate me. But you can message me. I have merch, t-shirts, and just blogs and videos on my website as well. So I'm very open. So I'm always looking to meet new people.
Yes, and I appreciate you.
Thank you.
I appreciate you getting back to me so quickly, and for arranging this time and having this conversation. I really appreciate it, and I've learned so much, and I've been inspired by you, and just to just do better, and to the importance of remaining kind, and just bringing it all back to being human, I think is something that we can all relate to and all be reminded of.
Yes.
So thank you so much, and I will be in touch with you soon.
Thank you so much. I appreciate it. I had fun.
Oh, thank you. I had fun too.
Thank you. You have a good day.
Thanks. Enjoy the rest of your day as well.
You too.
All right. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Thank you for listening to this episode of the OurView Podcast. Be sure to subscribe to the OurView Podcast on Anchor, Apple Podcast, or Spotify. New episodes will be released on the 15th and 30th of every month. Follow us on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, and YouTube at OurView for Life. That's OurView, 4 LIFE. Do you want to help change the tone of conversation among your family and friends? Head over to our website for some OurView merchandise. Our website is www.our-view.com/merchandise. I thank you for listening. Have a great day and take care.